Okay, I'm going to make a quick video on these thermoelectric fridges, or peltier cores I like to call them. You know, it got many names for these. You know, if you're British, it's an ice chest. If you're American, it's a cooler. Australian, it's an esky. If you're New Zealand, it's a chili bin. But they're all basically just a foam box. They've been around for donkey's years. You know, there's small ones, there's big ones, there's different configurations, but they're all virtually the same, other than two different configurations really. If the peltier set, you mind? I'm filming. I'm babysitting at the moment, so hence home away from home. I've been running on these for a while. You know, they're pretty much indestructible, other than dropping them or plastic eventually letting go. But like anything, plastic eventually dies. These are not fridges, or they are in the right specifications, as in, shh. They can be fridges if the climate's right. If the climate's too hot, these nothing but a slightly cool box. Like these are really good when it's like you're going somewhere which below 20 degrees. These will freeze up on the peltier inside. If it's above that, it's just a warm box. It's just a slow cool box, But where I use this is I'm here in Victoria, so it will get. Excuse me. This will freeze up most days, because most days in winter or spring, it's a maximum of 20 degrees anyway. So this works just fine for me. It's got one moving part, the fan. Most of your fridges, like your Ingles, have got a slide pump. They're patent slide pump, which are very efficient. They're actually more efficient than one of these. This is like 46 watts to use these, but one moving part. They have a domestic style ones, like the Wacos and stuff. They got actually a compressor pump, what's the same in a fridge, like a small. You took a small caravan fridge. That's virtually what they stick in one of these. Now, I just sold one of those not too long ago for someone. And inside would have been not too much bigger than this, but would have been this fat. It's one in the compressor pump and all the gear to it. Well, I have. This is just, it fits nicely where I got to put it in my Commodore. The designs, there's two different type of designs. Well, there's really three. You got the old style on this, which is just a hot aluminium bottom, or cold aluminium bottom. It's just a piece of aluminium with a thing bolted straight to it. It chills the whole thing down slowly. If it's cold enough, this will freeze up. There's the one which got the peltier on the lid, and it actually blow cold air down. They work surprisingly well, because they're actually chilled air. They got a fan and everything built into them. I used to have one which had a fan on it, which I'll get to in a second on what happened to it, but some have got a heat sink on there for a fan. It just blows the air around, and they work surprisingly better too. Because once these freeze out, that just stays cold and it stays warm. You've got to spread the love. But usually I want it with a Yeti in it. I've got him on the bottom of that. Maybe him too. I'll get nearly 3-4 days. You'll keep milk for nearly 4 days in this. 3 days in a really hot car. But if you've been driving, you'll get that extra day and a half if you're doing a decent drive. Well, I can't argue that, It saves me so much when it comes to I go buy chicken. Chicken or fish, you don't think about it, but I'm about 20 minutes away from the closest shop to buy, decent stuff, being rural. And that distance makes a difference, as in you can put in a chill bag. If you go in and buy, let's say, a chook, like chicken breasts, and you have to buy a bag of peas and corn to throw in the bag with it, it's not so bad. It'll survive, but by the time you get home, the peas and corn are half defrosted, and the chicken's cold, but if your vegetables turn to mush. If I plug this in after I leave work, which is about 20 or 30 minutes by the time I get to anywhere, to the shops, this is cold enough where I can throw cold things in it, then still make it home. It gives me that half an hour boost, especially if the aircon's running. But usually on a hot day, I run freezer packs or even a frozen bottle, frozen milk bottle. I've done that plenty of times. Now, these are a lot cheaper. They are still not cheap. You're still looking at about 150 for a reasonably newish one, which are actually built more like Eskies. They're fatter. They are just an Esky, and the Chinese have put one of these in it. They've got the fan and all in them now. And they're a lot more efficient peltiers than what these guys are. This is an older one. This is like early 90s. I've got actually an older one from the 80s where it's not even extrusion, it's actually cast aluminum. But that still gets reasonably cold too. But they do have a party function, which a lot of fridges don't, is where you can actually flick them over. In this case, it would have been the plug you flipped over, but this has been modified just for Lee because it was all broken. Or they had a switch where you can actually turn it to warm. And as warm as they get bloody warm, they got a thermal cutoff for them. And I've seen these get up hot enough. Like I had a Waco one, which I had stacked full of Coke, and some muppet came on, oh, press the heat, I'll just warm his drinks up. Be a smart bugger. And he ended up popping like 6 drinks in my thing, and it ruined the fan inside. So if you got one of them, just be careful. I got one of those with the switch on it. I've actually nicked the switch. It's one of the toggle switches. I've actually nicked it nearly flush with the body. So you can't actually flick it to hot. If I want to flick it, you're going to really have to jam like a hairpin or something to flick it. Just for that. I don't want things popping. But I have used it to keep chickens or roasts warm when I'm driving somewhere or going to party. This does a good job with that. I picked this up. I picked up 2 of these because someone decided they're going to throw them out. Just dumped on the way to work. I was like, beauty, I'll have them. There was a blue one, then they come back a day later and this was there. So I shoved it in my car. It's the perfect size. This is the perfect size to sit in the front of a VY 1-tonner. There is like that much room either side. Once it's pressed up against the tunnel, and in our cars we're on the driver's side, the right hand side. So this is on the left hand side. It sits up tight against the door, and the seat is back that far and it just fits perfectly in it. And it's just big enough you can lift it up. So that's why I like these. If there was a normal fridge, I'll never get it in there. We'll have to mount it on the back, and nothing worse, coming back out and see some knobos pinched you. Even the cheap fridges are $600-700. Now you can get the brass monkey ones, which are 15 litres, but you can't fit anything more than a couple of cans in there. Like a 6-pack at best. This guy, I think originally was on a boat at one point. It had. In the pile, there's lots of boat stuff, like old yachting stuff. But you can see, you can get 3 cans wide and 4 cans long. You said, probably even 5 cans long. You get nearly a whole slab in here anyway if you want to. Even that's getting cold now, just finding them in. So these are not a fridge. Don't treat them as a fridge unless you've got your aircon running. Then they would work, but at least they're nice and quiet. There's not a lot of heat you're going to have to worry about. They do produce heat out here if they're on the cooling function. You usually got your aircon that will be significant enough to pull it away from it, especially if you've got the switch to the feet core part. But other than that, I've had the fridge top before, and they get hot. Now the radios on them get really hot. And don't forget, your car's still working with an aircon running. They're trying to keep, the thing cool. You put load on the aircon, it'll pull it out. It'll take nearly 10 horsepower on some cars, where it's really got to work, and some of these fridges really pump out heat. Go put your hand on the side of a new fridge which don't have the radiator on them anymore, and you'll feel the heat on the side of them. It's just they don't expel the heat like they used to, because of people trying to fit into places where they can't fit. But no, as far as I'm concerned, it's cheap and cheerful. You know, you pick one of these up for $30 online, especially when the ones in the States. Who's the mob that used to make, and he used to have the Marlboro logo on the side of them. Coleman used to sell them, but they're like full size ice chests. You know, they're monsters. You know, some people have modified these. You know, I like the Final Later one, which doesn't have this style of fan, because it's a 6-volt fan blowing down. No, it's got a converter on it. But I think a Final Later one, which actually just wants someone just want a PC fan over the peltier. So I'm half tempted to replace the peltier in this for a more efficient one. About $30-40 to get a real good a more efficient one than what this one is, because this is early 90s, and the one I got home is mid 80s. We had these nearly back in this. I've seen pictures of these back to the 60s in England when they used to make them. Which in England, these are brilliant with that cold temperature. That's why they're popular. You know, but that's my idea on the peltiers. They're not as good as a chiller freezer, but as a chill box that stays colder for longer, that's what they're good for. And sometimes I don't even want that. You know, sometimes I just leave it. If I'm going to load it up and go to the shops, I'll put the ice block in it first, and by the time I go to the shop and come out, it's cold anyway. That's to give you a boost if you need a boost. That's all it is. You know, they'll give you an extra 20 or 30% boost, the cooling capacity of it at one time. Other than that, it's really just a box with a slight cooling function to it. But that's my two bobs on this. And the words, we'll see. Good boy.